Three-point contest from the Washington Mystics, Sonia Citron. Make some noise.
Sonia.
Before the lights, before the noise, before the world turned its eyes toward Indianapolis, there was silence. The kind of silence that only exists before history rewrites itself. For years, women's basketball had its voices, its icons, its warriors. But every generation waits for that one figure who changes not just the game, but the feeling of it. And in 2024, that moment wore number 22. Footage of Caitlin Clark walking through the tunnel, warm-up hoodie over her head, lights flickering against the hardwood. She came in not as a secret, but as a storm already announced. Every shot at Iowa had been a preview. Every logo a promise. By the time she stepped onto a WNBA court, expectations didn't whisper, they roared. The critics called it hype. The believers called it destiny. But Caitlin Clark called it basketball. The first points the ball found her early, because it always does. Carrington pressed up on her like the weight of the league itself. Eyes up, she read the floor, saw Boston slide inside. A bounce. A finish. 2 points. But something far greater had begun. Moments later, she stripped the ball loose, pushed in transition. A hesitation, a dip inside, a right-hand lay-in through contact. Those were the first official points of Caitlin Clark's WNBA career. Simple on paper, seismic in meaning. The crowd didn't just cheer. They exhaled, like they'd been holding their breath since draft night. She'd done it. Crossed that invisible line between promise and reality. From that moment, Indiana felt different. Every dribble was potential. Every possession was a chance at something new. The fearless step-back pressure comes fast in the pros. But Caitlin has always lived where the air gets thin. Fish hounded her on the perimeter. She stepped back, drifting right, not her usual left, and buried it anyway. A career first. A declaration. That signature flick of the wrist that has already been studied frame by frame across the internet. And when it dropped, it wasn't just a shot. It was a message to every defender. You're never safe. The connective tissue, she's not just a scorer, she's a connector. From the start, her eyes saw lanes no one else did. A no-look to Smith. A skip pass through traffic. A lob to Boston that curved like intention itself. In 3 possessions, she had 2 assists and a bucket. Not by force, but by flow. That's what separates good players from orchestrators. Caitlin doesn't just run plays. She conducts them. The Shooter's Flame logo range isn't a gimmick. It's geography she owns. She pulled up again, smaller defender, slight window, and the arc rose like a flare over the skyline. Splash. Second 3 of the quarter. Momentum bent toward her the way gravity bends light. For Indiana fans, it was déjà vu. The college star reborn on a professional stage. For opponents, it was the dawning of a new scouting report. There's no such thing as too far. The rookie duel rookie on rookie crime. That's what the commentators called it. A crossover, a pull-up, a stare down. Pure audacity. Every time she scored, defenders recalibrated, coaches frowned, and arenas filled. The league was learning, in real time, that the hype was justified. But there was something else. A steadiness beneath the flash. When she missed, she chased her rebound. When she was trapped, she found the cutter. Even in chaos, she built order. The art of the pass, every highlight reel will show her threes. But the true believers replay the passes. A cross-court laser to the corner. A pocket pass through the narrowest gap between 2 bigs. An overhead flick on the fast break. A dime so perfect that Smith didn't need to dribble. The ball leaves her hand like it already knows where it's going. Vision like that can't be coached. It's composed. She once said, "Passing feels like music when it's right." And on this night, the fever were symphonic. The emerging chemistry a team begins as names on a roster. But chemistry turns names into trust. Clark and Boston, the rookie duo. Two different stories, one rising chapter. Boston's power inside met Caitlin's precision outside. And defenses didn't know which way to break. She'd feed Boston on the roll, then draw a double and kick to Mitchell on the wing. Every possession became a lesson in options. Indiana hadn't had rhythm like this in years. Now they had a conductor with a rookie contract and a veteran soul. The fever of belief momentum is contagious. And belief? Even more so. By mid-season, the Fever's body language had changed. Every loose ball was chased. Every timeout huddle had fire. Caitlin's energy, relentless, restless, radiant, bled into everyone around her. The game sped up, the crowd leaned forward, and suddenly Indiana wasn't just playing. They were competing. You could feel it in the building. The shift from hoping to knowing. The deep shot, there are shots, and then there are moments. Late in the half, the ball swung to her just above the logo. No hesitation, no extra dribble, just rhythm. She rose, released, and froze time. The camera caught the defender's eyes following the ball, the arc hanging longer than expected, the net snapping with authority. From behind the free throw line, a pass became a touchdown, a three became a declaration. Even the broadcasters paused before reacting. Because what do you say when you witness inevitability? The evolution of control. Every great scorer eventually learns the second act. Control. The patience to dictate tempo, not chase it. Caitlin began to slow the game down. Not physically, but mentally. She'd bait a trap just to expose the weak side. Use a hesitation to shift a defender's weight by inches. One step, one read, one pass. That's all she needed. By then, the rookies she faced looked older, the veterans a little less comfortable, because they were no longer guarding potential. They were guarding precision. The grit behind the glamour. Every cinematic rise comes with pain. The hits, the turnovers, the defensive pressure meant to test her threshold. She never flinched. Instead, she smiled, that half smirk that means try again. Her teammates fed off it. Fans noticed it. Coaches respected it. The swagger wasn't arrogance. It was assurance. Because every great player needs conviction before they earn validation. And night by night, play by play, Caitlin Clark was earning both. The rewrite of Indiana. For years, the Fever had been rebuilding, waiting for a spark, a reason, a heartbeat. Caitlin didn't arrive as a savior. She arrived as a standard. Her passes lifted the team's pace. Her shooting stretched defenses. Her voice, even as a rookie, started echoing through huddles. There's a before and after in every franchise's story. And this was the line being drawn in real time. The unseen hours off camera, long after arenas cleared, she'd stay, still shooting, still studying. Coaches say the gym echoes differently when she's alone in it. The sound of each swish feels like punctuation. Every rep, a sentence in the book she's writing. She doesn't chase perfection. She prepares for it. And that's the part the cameras rarely capture. The spark that ignited a city by midsummer. Ticket lines wrapped around Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Kids wore number 22 with Sharpie hearts on their wrists. Every home game felt like an event. The world had seen the spark. Now came the question every phenom must face. Can the Flames survive the wind? The league adjusted. Defenses doubled. Scouts studied every step, every habit, every breath. But Caitlin Clark was born inside the storm, and the storm never scared her. The weight of expectation. By June, every arena she entered felt heavier. Opponents wanted the headline that read, "We stopped Caitlin Clark." Veterans tested her body. Coaches tested her mind. But pressure to her was oxygen. It didn't suffocate, it sharpened. After one early season loss, she sat quietly at her locker. eyes fixed on the stat sheet. Not angry, not shaken, just studying. She whispered, "They'll keep coming. So will I." The next night, she opened the game with a three so deep it silenced the home crowd before it even rose. That's the thing about Caitlin Clark. Every setback is a setup for spectacle. The evolution of pace rookies rush. Stars control. Mid-season, you could feel her tempo shift. The ball didn't just move, it breathed with her. She'd probe, pull back, pause, then strike through the gap she created from nothing. Boston rolled, Smith popped, Mitchell cut baseline. Every player around her began to anticipate instead of react. Basketball had become language, and Caitlin was teaching the grammar of rhythm. A backdoor feed to Boston, a skip to Hull. Suddenly, Indiana wasn't chasing the game. They were composing it. The range of legends, there are shots that stretch the floor, and there are shots that stretch belief. Late in a tight contest, the ball swung her way. The shot clock ticked to 3. She stepped back, beyond the logo, beyond logic, and let it fly. The crowd's gasp came before the net's whisper. Commentators searched for adjectives. Limitless, ludicrous, lethal. But the truth was simpler. Caitlin Clark had rewritten geometry. Even opponents smiled in disbelief. You don't guard that. You survive it. The sink with Boston, 2 rookies, 1 mission. Aaliyah Boston, steady power in the paint. Caitlin Clark, chaotic elegance on the perimeter. Together they found balance. The pass before the seal, the cut before the glance. In one sequence, Clark bounced a pass between 3 defenders so perfectly it landed in Boston's hands without a sound. Lay-in, timeout, roar. They didn't celebrate. They just looked at each other and nodded. A quiet agreement between 2 players who already knew this was only the beginning. The city ignites by July. The Fever's home games had turned into pilgrimage. Families drove for hours. Kids painted 22 on their cheeks. Reporters filled every press row seat. The city that once waited for its team to matter again now thrummed with anticipation hours before tip-off. When she emerged from the tunnel, phones rose like torches. Every warm-up 3 felt like prophecy. Indianapolis hadn't buzzed like this since banners hung for the Pacers. Now, it buzzed for belief. The composure of a veteran rookie's usually blink under bright lights. Caitlin didn't. Down 9, 2 minutes left. She called her own number. Step back 3. Steal. Drive. Dish. Within 60 seconds, the deficit was 1. The cameras zoomed in on her expression. Calm, focused, almost cold. Not because she lacked emotion, but because she owned it. That's what separates the great from the gifted. Control, not chaos. The pass that defied physics every season has a single play that becomes a painting. For Caitlin Clark, it came off a defensive rebound. She caught, pivoted, and, without looking, launched a full-court dart. From behind her own free-throw line to Jones streaking in stride. No bounce. No hesitation. Perfect. The ball landed soft as a secret. Jones laid it in, still half